Atlanta's summer night was heavy with heat, the kind that makes the air feel like it's pulsing. That night, the tension in the city wasn't just from the weather. Something big was brewing, and it was about to explode in one of Atlanta's most legendary clubs. The stage was set for a dramatic showdown between two former friends, Lil Scrappy and Khaotic, whose bond had once been unbreakable, but was now hanging by a thread. The club, known for wild parties and unforgettable moments, was packed. Music blasted from massive speakers, the bass shaking the floors. The crowd was buzzing with excitement, unaware of the storm that was about to hit. Velvet ropes marked off the VIP sections, where reality stars, rappers, and entourages laughed, drank, and posed for cameras. Chains glittered under strobe lights. Bottles popped. But beneath the glamorous surface, tension was rising. Near the stage stood Lil Scrappy, proud and intense. He wore a sleek black Gucci jacket, his chains shining against his chest. Normally, his smile could light up a room, but tonight, his eyes were cold. He wasn't here to play. Scrappy, often called the Prince of the South, had a presence that demanded attention. But something in his expression warned everyone that this wasn't going to be an ordinary night. On the opposite side of the club leaned Khaotic, a fast-talking rapper from Miami with a reputation for stirring the pot. He rested casually against a speaker, acting unbothered. But if you looked closely, his jaw was tight, his muscles tense. His chill posture was just a front. He was ready for whatever came next. Not long ago, these two were close, real close. They built a YouTube brand together, co-hosted a dating show, and moved like brothers. But things had fallen apart fast. A mix of hurt feelings, broken promises, and business beef had created a wall between them. What once looked like loyalty now felt like betrayal. The night had started on a good note. The Love and Hip Hop cast was shooting a segment for a group project. It was supposed to be a celebration, a joint performance to promote their new album. Cameras were rolling. The drinks were flowing. Everything seemed fine on the surface. But behind the scenes, it was a different story. 12 long hours of filming had drained everyone. Tempers were short. People were snapping over the smallest things. Scrappy and Khaotic had passed each other in the hallways all day. No words. Just cold stares and tense nods. Everyone else stayed out of it, but you could feel something was about to go down. The issues between them had been building for weeks. Khaotic had kicked Scrappy out of their joint YouTube channel, accusing him of not putting in enough work. He went public with it, calling Scrappy lazy and saying he wasn't serious about the brand. Scrappy didn't stay quiet. He fired back during an Instagram live, calling Khaotic a snake and saying he stole money while trash-talking him behind his back. So when they were called to the stage together, nobody expected hugs and handshakes. The DJ switched tracks, and a comedian hosting the night announced their names. The crowd erupted. Fans clapped, shouted, and reached for their phones, expecting to see the friendly energy they used to share. But Scrappy stepped forward with slow, heavy steps. His eyes locked on Khaotic like he was hunting him. Khaotic just smirked and gave the crowd a lazy wave. He looked calm on the outside, but you could see in his body that he was ready. The air was thick with tension, and nobody said a word. They didn't need to. The host tried to keep it light, cracking jokes about their brotherhood and the good times they'd shared. But Scrappy wasn't laughing. He grabbed the mic and looked straight at Khaotic. "There ain't no brotherhood when you act dirty behind my back," Scrappy said, his voice low and sharp. The crowd went silent. Khaotic's smirk disappeared. He stepped closer, eyes locked on Scrappy. "You out to pocket, bro," he said, his tone turning serious. "You wanna talk about sideways? Let's talk about how you've been avoiding me off camera." That was it. Scrappy's face twisted with anger. Before anyone could stop him, he lunged. His fist shot forward with months of frustration behind it. He hit Khaotic hard in the shoulder, sending him flying back into a speaker with a loud crash. Screams filled the club. Fans jumped up, phones recording every second. The fight was on. Khaotic jumped to his feet, furious. He came at Scrappy swinging, his fist grazing Scrappy's jaw. The two collided in a blur of fists, shouts, and raw emotion. Years of friendship crumbled as they brawled in front of the crowd and cameras. Security rushed the stage. One guard grabbed Scrappy's arm, nearly getting hit in the process. Another tried to separate Khaotic, who kept swinging as if he couldn't even hear the chaos around him. People shouted from the audience, some yelling for Scrappy, others cheering on Khaotic. "Scrappy! Scrappy!" One side screamed. "Get him, Khaotic!" The other side hollered. Bottles tipped over. A mic stand hit the floor with a bang. The scene was out of control. Back in the VIP section, Mama D watched with a strange mix of emotions. Her nails tapped her glass as she looked on, partly proud of her son for standing up for himself, partly calculating what this moment meant for his career. Beside her stood Erica Dixon, tense and worried. She had Scrappy's back, but the look on her face showed that she feared where this fight might lead. Other cast members, Bombi, Carly Red, Rashada, hovered close to the action. Some screamed for them to stop. Others quietly whispered, already planning how this moment would play on screen. The producers were ecstatic. This kind of footage was TV gold. They made sure every angle was recorded. No one wanted to miss a second. The fight didn't last long, but it felt like forever. Finally, security managed to pull them apart. Scrappy stood on one side of the stage, breathing hard. His jacket was ripped at the shoulder. His chest rose and fell like he had just run a marathon. Khaotic stood on the other side, also out of breath. His shirt was torn, and his chain was hanging by a thread. The host, sweating and shaken, grabbed the mic and tried to calm everyone down. "Let's keep it cool, y'all. That's enough now," he shouted. The DJ quickly played another track, hoping to change the vibe. But the energy in the room had shifted. It was no longer about music or reality TV. It was about pride, pain, and betrayal. Fans were already posting clips online. Twitter and Instagram lit up with hashtags. Hours later, the club was still buzzing. People couldn't stop talking about the fight. Khaotic wasted no time. He got on Instagram to tell his side. Sitting in a car, still heated, he said Scrappy was drunk and looking for a moment. "We were cool all day," and then he pulls that mess for the cameras. Scrappy answered with another live video. "I don't play when it comes to my name," he said, staring straight at the camera. "You wanna act slick? We can handle it off camera too." Fans took sides quickly. Some said Scrappy was wrong for swinging first. Others said Khaotic had it coming. The internet was split, and the drama only grew. A few days later, Khaotic released a diss track. The lyrics were clear jabs at Scrappy, mocking his temper and loyalty. The song went viral. Everyone was listening, breaking down the lines for hidden messages. Scrappy didn't respond with music. He stayed quiet. But that silence spoke volumes. In a world where everyone rushes to talk, sometimes saying nothing says the most. The club, once packed with energy, slowly emptied. Workers cleaned up the mess. The stage was quiet now, but it still felt heavy, like the echoes of that fight were still hanging in the air. For Scrappy and Khaotic, this wasn't just a fight. It was the end of something real. What began as a friendship, a partnership, and even a brotherhood was now just a memory. All of it torn apart in front of flashing lights, rolling cameras, and a crowd that watched it all unfold. In the world of love and hip-hop, loyalty is rare, and betrayal always seems to be around the corner. Scrappy and Khaotic's fight wasn't just another dramatic moment for TV. It was a reminder of how fast things can change when pride, money, and trust are on the line. The story of their fallout will be talked about for a long time. Not just because it was messy, but because it was real. And in a world full of fake smiles and staged scenes, their pain was something you couldn't fake. And just like that, a brotherhood was broken on stage, under the lights, in front of the world. What started as a small crack between Lil Scrappy and Khaotic turned into a full-on earthquake. Years of friendship, loyalty, and shared dreams were destroyed in a matter of minutes. And while the cameras captured the chaos, what they couldn't show was the deep pain behind it all. This wasn't just about a fistfight. This was about trust, about betrayal, about two men who started as partners and ended as enemies. Fans are still picking sides. Some say Scrappy had every right to stand up for himself. Others say Khaotic was pushed too far. But one thing is clear, this moment will go down as one of the most explosive scenes in love and hip-hop Atlanta history. Now, both men are moving forward separately, but the scars from that night remain. The internet hasn't stopped talking, and that footage will live on forever. But behind the headlines and hashtags are two artists who lost something much bigger than just a business deal. They lost each other. So the question now is, can they ever come back from this? Or was this the final nail in the coffin of what used to be one of reality TV's strongest bonds? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, Atlanta will never forget the night Lil Scrappy and Khaotic turned a club into a battlefield. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit that like button, subscribe for more exclusive drama breakdowns, and don't forget to comment below whose side are you on. Until next time, stay locked. One night, one stage, one fight that changed everything.